We have Matt top middle. We have Randall at the top right, and of course Bryce, and then myself. And first things first, Bryce, welcome.
Well, thank you. No, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So, another first question I want to ask is, how are you doing, man? How have you been? What's new with you, sir?
I've been pretty good. We've been getting really good support, which I can't say enough that how happy I am with that and how blessed I am either. We have some pretty big things coming up too, which I'll keep that a little close to my pocket until it starts to get a little bit more solidified. But no, we've been doing well as a business, and me personally, like I said, I couldn't be happier.
That's good, man. That's good. So, of course, we'll get into your brand, but the first question I really want to ask is, man, what got you into smoking a cigar? Like, what was it that passion in you?
Yeah, so when I was 18, actually, is when I had my first cigar when that was legal back then. Ironically, it was actually my mom that handed me an acid Cuba Cuba for the first time. And tried that, and I was like, I really like the tobacco taste that I'm getting from it, the little bit that you do with an acid Cuba Cuba. But I was like, I just don't like the infusion aspect.
Yeah.
And so she took me to the local lounge and, kind of told them what I was looking for. And, that was, it was a foot after that. I was head first and, wanted to explore and get to know as much as I could. Like just the hobby from the beginning, was super intriguing. Just because the cigar may look the same doesn't necessarily mean it's going to taste the same. Like it could be the same shade of Maduro, but it will not taste the same as one that you can put next to it.
So I guess that kind of leads into my next question is, what was your first cigar? So I guess that would be the acid Cuba Cuba.
Yeah, that would be it.
So before we get, sorry,
Go
I was going to
ahead,
say before we get too far into it, let's let the people know what we're smoking.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
absolutely.
man. I jumped the gun. I was so
you're good.
Questions. All right, so I'll go ahead and start off since I'm already here. I am smoking the Maduro, and it is doing amazing. Very good flavors.
Hugo?
Who do you want to go next?
Let's do Randall.
Okay.
All right. Well, this gorgeous thing right here is the Candela offering from Silent Hero Cigars. Closed foot, so you get a blast of that Candela wrapper right off the top. Look at that color difference right there, the cap. So far, it's really good. It's my first time having this one.
Nice. So I've got the Silent Hero Cigars box press Habano, and great burn line on it going on. So far this is really good. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. Oh, and I did have the Maduro last week, so I was able to try that one out first, and I enjoyed that beginning to end as well. So,
Hugo,
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you. We hear you.
yep.
Okay, cool. Because I just hooked up my AirPods for audio, but and then somebody was saying that we sound echoey, so I'm not sure.
Well, we did.
What's that?
We did sound that way, but once you switched over to your AirPods, or like you muted, it went away. So I think we're back to being normal. If y'all can just let us know.
All right. So we got cigar bits in the house. What's up, John? Thanks for joining. He's saying he sounds better. So I have the Connecticut, which is I believe a 5x50. Is that right, Bryce?
Yep, 5x50.
5x50 Connecticut. So it's my first smoke of the day, clean palate. So might as well go with the Connecticut. So
another question: are you guys pairing it with anything?
Not yet.
I just have a sparkling water. Bryce, I'm curious, what would you pair the Candela with?
That exact same thing.
It seemed right? And it's great.
Yeah. That's not flavored, is it? It's just regular sparkling
No,
water?
no, it's just it's just regular.
That's exactly what I would pair it with, honestly.
Nice.
So
I'm doing.
hold on, let me because we got some people over on Instagram because we're dubbing live on Instagram, and then we're dubbing live on the Stogey Society YouTube, as well as Cigar Scope and Frank. So if everybody can hop on over to the Stogey Society YouTube page, that would be greatly appreciated, because we're gonna be streaming from there from now on. The people on Instagram, if you guys want to well, actually, you guys should probably move over to YouTube as well, because I'm streaming off of my personal page, not off of the Stogey Society Instagram yet, because we have what, like 2 more weeks before we can stream off of there.
It's got to be a month before we're able to stream from it.
So we have Crazy Gringo and My Cigar of the Day, Boss Dog Cigars on Instagram. If you guys want to jump on to Stogey Society podcast on YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
And DC's here now. DC's knocking on the door.
Do we let him in?
I don't know.
I mean, he shows up late.
Oh, is he? Okay, there he is. All right.
Better let me in.
There he is.
What's up, guys? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we hear you.
What's up, man?
Chilling, guys. Bryce, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you, brother?
Good, good.
Good.
So we have to ask you these questions. DC, what are you smoking today, brother?
I went with the Candela.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've been in the background listening, and same thing, sparkling water. But you can't really see it.
So
We have somebody that said this Cigar Dudes podcast said that smoked gin goes with the Candela. I haven't tried that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had smoked gin. I've had smoked whiskey, smoked bourbon,
I haven't either. That's interesting.
smoked tequila, which is I guess mezcal, but that's a good one. It's a new one. I might try that one of these days. Okay, so I guess while Ugo gets his stuff going over there, so my question was going to be, we know what your first cigar was, but what was the cigar that was your go-to, that you're like, man, this is where I want my brand to be, where I want the kind of like the benchmark that you wanted to have your core line at?
Yeah. The cigar that stuck out to me and that's been my go-to for many years now has been the My Father Judge. That
Very
to me
good
has
cigar.
been a fantastic cigar, and I'm just a big fan of My Father in general. There's nothing that they produce that I've had that so far that has really turned me away from them. Especially when you get into like the packaging of My Father, it's very elegant. It's the boxes are very gorgeous. So I really wanted my brand to kind of have that same reputation within the industry, as best as I could, obviously. Where you look at Silent Hero and you think of our mission, and people, think of the brand as well and what we're trying to do for veterans with PTSD. And at the same time, you also think to yourself, well, the cigars that come out of that company are, they're out of this world, or they're out of the park. You pick up a stick, you're going to enjoy it. So that was really the two that I wanted to take away from, especially like My Father.
Okay, yeah, good answer. My father's been a go-to, a staple. I mean, I've yet to, like you said, I've yet to have a bad one. I mean, I know there's some people that are on the fence with certain ones, but for me, I've had good luck with them. Let's see here.
Question for you: can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay, so what inspired you to turn your passion for cigars into a way to raise awareness for and support for veterans struggling with PTSD?
Yeah. Really, what kind of prompted that was, having that passion of cigars, as it was. It's just maybe, at the time, as just a consumer, and wanting to look more into how I could really help with veterans with PTSD and that whole gap that we seem to have here, where, you know, there's organizations that are, you know, these not-for-profits that are trying to help and do the best that they can, but they're donation-based and they're, you know, they're lacking the funding in some instances. So I wanted to kind of give it a crack at, you know, an industry where I felt comfortable, you know, stepping into that world, which was cigars. And I didn't necessarily know if people would take on to the blends that I would create. But for me, I kind of had two sides of the coin. You know, it's like, you know, I can put a little vulnerability out there, put a cigar, or cigars rather, that have my blends and see if people like them. And best case scenario, people enjoy them, and I can raise awareness. I can raise money for these guys that need, you know, the funding to help these veterans with PTSD. Worst case scenario, it's a flop. And you know what? Yeah, I'll just, you know, take my licks and just go back to being a consumer, and it is what it is. So that really was what kind of sparked going from just looking at it as a consumer to saying, okay, well, I'll give it a try at, you know, blending my own sticks, releasing them, all in the hopes that I could, you know, have some good luck with it and help somebody out. You know what I mean?
Sure do. And I will say, like, I've seen your cigars in a lot of different pages and Instagram pages and on some of these podcasts, and I've literally have heard nothing bad about your cigars. So you're doing something right, and you know the fact that you're using it as a platform to help makes it even better, man. Thank you for that. Also, thank you for your service. I forgot to tell you about that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
While we're up on the subject of Instagram, y'all should go follow Silent Hero Cigars on Instagram. Very active. Are you doing the Instagram page, Bryce?
Yeah, so it's actually, me and my wife that actually tag team that. And so she helps me a ton with like the logo designs, you know, for like the patches and all of the kind of the creativity posts. You know, the part of the Instagram that I really wanted to have different and what I really wanted to harp on was the activeness as well as the engagement. So like, if you take a picture of my cigar and you tag me in it and you want to collaborate, I'm going to collaborate with you. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, like there can't be any crazy shit. You know, like it's got to be, you know, somewhat on brand of my company. But again, I want to honor, you know, my customer. You know, you went out and you spent your hard-earned money on a new cigar to the market, which is one, you know, very risky to the consumer. Yeah, I'm not, you know, oblivious to that. And also, you felt inclined enough to where you were like, I enjoyed this cigar so much, I'm going to take a picture of it, write a caption, and post it on Instagram. And I'm going to tag the company that I bought it from, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And that's a lot like you don't see from these bigger companies. I mean, there are a few. I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple that will, you know, repost and collaborate, but the majority they don't. And I mean, I understand. I get it. You know, they don't need that, but the fact that you do that is also a plus. I mean, it makes the consumer excited to post, knowing that you might repost. Because you know we are the ones that are excited about your brand, and then you repost us. It's even more exciting.
Well, and like my thing is too is like I can sit there and my wife and I and our photographer, we can come up with some great posts, like some great pictures. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, who gives a shit about what I say about the cigar and how I enjoy it? At the end of the day, if Frank enjoys the cigar, you know, as the consumer, like that is what is the most important. And when somebody comes onto my page, you know, whether it be from like a word of mouth kind of thing, I want them to feel confident in making that decision to purchase, you know, one cigar or how many ever cigars they want to try out. And they're not feeling like, you know, I don't really see anybody like posting about it. You know what I mean? You know, I wanted it to make sure if you were brand new to my company, if you go on that page, you will see all of the people that are engaging with my company.
True. Real quick, let's do a cigar check. Actually, let's do a flavored note check. Matt, go ahead. We'll start with you, brother. What notes are you getting from the cigar, man?
Man, I can't really focus on it when I'm trying to be in the conversation. But I can tell you it's enjoyable. Not a whole lot of spiciness. So for those that don't like spice, this one so far anyways will be in your wheelhouse. A little bit of a dried fruit. I can't really pinpoint it because, again, just trying to be in the conversation. So it's hard to kind of focus on that. But I do want to point out the solid burn line still. Burning great. It's smoking great. And it's very enjoyable. I can tell you that, I want to try the other ones, of course, but I can tell you as of now, I'll be getting more of the box pressed Habano. Yep.
Nice. How about you, Randall?
Oh, I'm getting cream, little light, woody nut flavor. And it's interesting because in other Candelas I've had, I get almost like a tea flavor. You know what I mean? And I don't get that as much in this one. I get more of the cream hay notes, that flavor for it. They're very light flavors. They're rich though, but they're lighter flavors. So it's really enjoyable. It'd be good with coffee too, I would think. Also, for it to be a close foot, the burn line is really good because you know how closed foots can sometimes start to burn a little wonky. But I mean, it's doing very well.
Compa, Hugo?
So I think I kind of lit this a little bit after you guys. I was kind of finishing my dinner while I was setting up here.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. We can check back with you in a little bit.
No, but to be honest with you, I picked the Connecticut because I don't know. Me personally, I want to dwell more into the world of Connecticut's. I think that it's a cigar that we kind of overlook because we just assume it's just like, your typical Connecticut profile. This one's really good, to be honest with you. Right at light up, getting cedar notes, your typical, but on the retrohale is very nice and smooth, and getting already like a nice breadiness or like a sweet hay note. And the retrohale sting is very minimal. It's like a 1 or 2 out of 10. So for me, it's starting off real good. Like, I hope that it like crescendos and continues to develop throughout. Again, it's my first time smoking Silent Hero cigar, so looking forward to it.
DC, I know you just started, so we can get back with you on the next
No,
one.
I'm ready. I think we'll talk long enough where I had enough time to smoke my cigar halfway through it. So no, actually, when I got the pack, because I ordered the 5-pack, I think it was like the best option, so I could try them all and get a taste of every single one of them. Obviously, when you open the bag, you smell like freshness, and it's coming from the Candela. So I was a little scared because this is actually my first Candela ever, and thank you. This thing is awesome. It's really good. Yeah. To kind of echo what Randall was saying, is you do get like the light hay, the light nutty flavor. It's very smooth. No like burn on the retro. The burn line is doing really well. I think I let it dry box long enough. I had a 62 on the top, and then it was a 60 on the foot. And it's great. It's doing really well.
Nice. So on the Maduro, I'm getting like a darker wood note. I am definitely getting pepper. Pepper, this one, I will say it's about a 4, but that's kind of my sweet spot. That's where I like it. I'm also getting like a honey. Sorry, my dogs are deciding to have WrestleMania going on over here. Yeah, so I'm getting like a honey on the retro, and like a slight sweetness. This is really, really good Maduro. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I mean the burn line is pretty good. Ash has been on it. I like it.
Thank you.
Nice.
Bryce, what do you get from the Candela? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of approaching that halfway point right now. I know, like, when I start lighting it up, I'm kind of getting a little bit of that very, very faint grass and hay, very faint, if any at all. I know for me, I'm constantly retrohaling when I'm going through the Candela. So for me, in my palate, I'm getting that green tea, taste, if you will. But I know as like I start kind of getting towards like the middle aspect of it, I kind of do get a little bit more of like a white pepper that's lingering in the background. But other than that, it's pretty consistent through and through.
So
Nice.
now, Silent Hero is I really do like the name of the brand,
Mhm.
but what does it stand for? Like what did you
Where'd you
want
get the
to
name
accomplish? Yeah, with the name.
What's up, Tommy?
Yes. So the first part of it that I wanted to accomplish is Silent Hero. Where I really wanted to kind of go with that is my old unit when I was in the Army was called the Silent Warriors. So to pay homage to my old team, I took off the warrior aspect and just kept the silent because as well as, PTSD is a silent battle as well. And then I wanted to put hero because, our veterans that struggle with PTSD and veterans in general, these guys are heroes and gals are heroes. And then the other side of that decision making as well is when the consumer purchases a cigar, you guys and gals are the silent heroes in somebody else's recovery, whether that be with getting a service dog or therapy services or like the organization I partnered with for this month, they take veterans out hunting, free of charge entirely to the veteran, and they also do fishing. Which is, fantastic for their morale and as well as their, mental state. So that's really where I wanted to kind of go with that name is I wanted to make sure that it paid homage to my old unit, but it also, let the consumer know that they are a silent hero in somebody else's story.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful reason behind the name.
What about the logo, the picture on it? Because I really love the band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. That guy on there is just a AI generated soldier.
Nice.
So I didn't want to make it real specific. Me being prior Army. I'm proud of being Army. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't want to make the other services feel neglected. Like I wanted to kind of do something that was all encompassing. So when you look at the band, you immediately know it's a soldier. And it doesn't, dictate, one branch over the other because all branches deal with it in their own, own ways, or affected by it in their own ways rather. And I also wanted it to kind of be something that wasn't really distinguishable like a specific person because it goes into the fact that you can see someone random, out in the grocery store, out on the street, and you have no idea the guy might be or the gal might be prior service and struggle with it themselves.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about the early days of Silent Hero Cigars. Like how did you go from idea to concept? Or concept to reality. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, a lot of Google. I wasn't as kind of plugged in with the cigar industry as I am now. Hell, my Silent Hero cigar account on Instagram was actually my hobby, my like smoking hobby account, where I was just engaging with the cigar community, posting my own pictures of random cigars that I enjoyed. And then it started kind of getting to the point where I was like, like this thought of, wanting to do my own cigar company, like won't leave me alone. Like I just need to do it. So I spent a lot of hours, maybe a little bit too many hours on Google trying to find, a way to turn my, my dream into a reality. And sure as hell, tell people all the time, if you're determined to do something, you'll find a way. Got in touch with a guy that does, importation for the United States. They own one factory and they partner with another, both down in Nicaragua. And, again, just kind of lucky, just finding the right word search in the Google engine. And it kind of started directing me towards these like little, breadcrumbs and just kind of followed the breadcrumbs and, landed where I'm at now. It has been nothing but difficult. I will say that. It has been nothing but challenging because, obviously Google, you know, they don't want you to know, they don't want to give you the steps to do it easily. You know, they want to make it as hard as humanly possible because they don't want another tobacco company, you know, whatever. Like I said, if you're determined to do whatever, yeah, you'll find it.
Nice. We have a comment here from Brother Hector. He's saying, as someone who suffers from PTSD, I found a glass of moonshine and a cigar is the best medicine for me. It's like,
Nice.
As long as you're doing it in moderation, Hector.
So, I know that you had your struggles with PTSD.
Can you take that comment off, please?
The Dodgers tied 5-5. So, sorry, man.
Ooh. That green tea note's coming in.
Yeah, you got it now?
Yeah, I got it now. About
All right.
10 minutes in. Yeah.
So you mentioned your struggles with PTSD. How is that for you now? And what ways have you been able to manage it, or like what has helped you manage some of the stuff that you're going through? Like I know my father-in-law is a vet from Vietnam, and he struggled with that a lot, and it affected my wife and her family. And he found yoga, meditation, Reiki, and that helped him stabilize a lot of that stuff he was feeling. What was it for you that helped you or is helping you at this point in your life?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've come a really long way. I mean, I was diagnosed with it in 2019, 2020, it's kind of a blur. But I want to say 2019. And, you know, to look back at how far I've come with just all of it has been, you know, super refreshing. When I got out of the service, you know, my wife and I were like, you know what, like maybe the inner city and all the, you know, the crime and all of that kind of stuff isn't the place for us to be. You know, let's look at living out in the country. And so we picked up Wyoming, and so that was a really large step in the right direction for me. We also got chickens, ducks, goats. I'm a huge animal person, and so working with them and caring for them was something that really also kind of gave me a good step forward. And the biggest problem that I was having was, one, the hypervigilance during the day would be so bad that I'd be smoked at night. But the problem at night is my nightmares were so bad. And so I was only sleeping 2.5 hours, like actually asleep for 2.5 hours because I was just so tormented. And I'm a little bit nervous with medicine, so I've always kind of tried to just do what I can and use that as a last resort. For some people, you know, they're very comfortable with medicine, and do your thing. Yeah, whatever works for you. For me, the turning point for me was when I got my service dog. My service dog, dude, I had him for one weekend, and I went from 2.5 hours to 5 hours of sleep. And when you're only getting, you know, barely almost 3 hours of sleep, 5 and more is like the floodgates open. Like you can think better the next day. You're not irritated. You're not pissed off, you know, where everything is an issue and all of that kind of crap. So he's been a great tool, and he's helped me a ton with getting that sleep back. And even when I'm out in public, he takes away a lot of that hypervigilance to where I don't have to be on guard because I know he will.
Yes.
You know, he's a 92-pound German Shepherd, and he's a sweet dog. But my goodness, like if he feels like you're trying to hurt me, he's not sweet. So
that's good. Yeah.
And he's such a big dude that, like, you know, I'm not necessarily worried about it in public anymore. I still get my jump scares. Don't get me wrong. We went to a rodeo and they didn't have any type of warning that they fire off a fucking cannon prior.
Oh shoot.
And so me and my wife and the dog are just kind of hanging out, and we're both BSing, and all of a sudden you just hear this loud bang, and I think it was like one of those like Scooby-Doo episodes where Scooby-Doo jumps up into Shaggy's arms and catches him. It was like the same exact thing. Like we damn near called each other, and I tell you what, without him, I wouldn't have been able to sit in that seat comfortably and enjoy the rodeo for another 5 hours. Like there would have been no way. There would have been no shot. Like I would have been gone, and that would have been it for the day.
How long in between, like when you got him, did you guys finally make that connection where you felt comfortable after?
So with me and him, I don't know, like it was weird. Like so I got him when he was 1 year old. And when I got him, they were like, he's fully trained, but the gentleman that had him prior to you, he was just very uncomfortable with him, with his size. He was very uncomfortable with how he would react to like anxiety attacks and stuff like that. And they were like, well, and they didn't bond. And I was like, that's really weird, because I've had dogs before. Like it doesn't take a year for them to bond with you. And so I think to answer your question, it took about 2 or 3 days for him and I to really and you could see the bond very organically. Like I could walk around without the leash and the dude would be glued to my heels. Like I would stop walking and he would walk into me and go to sit on the floor, and he would just come over and he would be, he wouldn't leave you alone kind of thing. If you go into, like for me, like if I go into the bathroom, like the dude comes in the bathroom, he's been doing that since day one. Like it's really, I'd be kind of naive to say it wasn't meant to be, because, him and I clicked so well and so quick, and the recovery for my PTSD with my dog has been exponentially, progressed due to what he can do.
Wow. And what is his name, if you don't mind me asking?
It's actually the name of the Candela, so the Maverick.
Maverick? Oh, okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, so I'm smoking the Maverick.
Yeah. I was just going to ask if you've incorporated him to your cigars, but now I know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's definitely there.
That's awesome.
Also, chat, thank you all for these beautiful comments. If you have any, questions about the cigars or anything, go ahead and throw them in.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you, John. I see your comment, brother. Thank you.
So, Bryce, so you have 5 offerings. I have a curious question. The Candela is a Toro. The rest are Robustos. What was the mindset going into like the sizing and making the closed foot for the Candela? Is there like a reasoning or?
Yeah. So, truth be told, I wanted to do all of them Robustos because I wanted to kind of play it a little bit safe. Like I wanted to kind of do a size of cigar that is extremely common. The Toro and the Robusto arguably are the 2 most common in the world. So I was like, let me do a Robusto and just kind of see what people think. Like if people are like, hey, I love this cigar, I hate that it's in a 5x50 because I want more on there because I just want to keep smoking it. I wanted that to happen so then I could eventually go back and for future lines I can actually create a blend that's longer than obviously 5 inches. With the Candela, the Candela was a little different. The Candela was something that kind of was a pain in the butt for a little bit. Because when I would do it in the Robusto, it was like overwhelming with grass and hay. And it was something that I didn't want. I wanted my Candela to actually step away from the norm and just be different. Because again, as a brand, that's what we are. We're just different. And so the Robusto, it just wasn't working. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the size and it just needed that extra inch. And then when I upped it to the Toro, you know, and upped the ring gauge a little bit to kind of get a little bit more tobacco in there, I was like, this is fantastic. And I was like, well, what if we just did a closed foot? So then you can actually, like, off the bat, you know, you understand what this is going to be like. And you're not sitting there, you know, walking on eggshells, like, like, this is, like, what's this going to turn into? You know immediately what it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I wanted to rewind just a little bit. So when you first got had the idea to, hey, let me start making my own cigar here, was it because you were looking for a way to be able to give back to the community with the PTSD and donate stuff? Or so did you have the idea of doing the cigars first, or was hey, I want to be able to give back, and then cigars came as the idea?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So really, when I was in the service back in 2020, I got into cigars pretty heavily again. I stopped for a little bit just because of what I was doing in the service. I didn't have that luxury to to smoke, and so I got into it. It was like really fun for me. It was like a good outlet during the height of my PTSD issues. And so when I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a brand. I'm going to get my own sticks. I thought to myself, like, okay, how can I, get a good stick out there and like make an impact somewhere? Because I don't just want to do something just to do it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to turn your hobby into a business, that is great. Do your thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But with me, I just wanted to use it, use my pain and use all of the struggles that I had gone through and I learned from to help somebody else, whether that be 100 people or just one person. If I help one person, that's all I care about. So the cigars kind of were there, and then I was like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the why of why I'm wanting to do that? And I was just like, it was kind of like a light bulb moment. I remember talking to my wife and was just like, for my situation, it was a little different. Like, I had to remake and reforge my support system. My family really kind of shoved me out, and they didn't like who I became, due to my PTSD. So I told her, I was like, I wonder what I could do to actually help somebody, like genuinely help somebody and like bring awareness to it on a big platform. And it was just kind of that light bulb moment of like, holy shit, I could do the cigars and what, my goal or my dream is here at the same time. Now I just have to figure out every step there forward, and then create a good stick that doesn't taste like a turd. You know what I mean? Like, you can have all the great, noble intention in the world, but like, if you can't produce a good product, whether it's in cigars or food or whatever, people aren't going to buy that again. They're just not,
Absolutely.
I like it.
So what was one struggle that you deal with? Say, like, if I want to start my own brand, what is it that you can tell me that, you know what, this is where I felt like it was a little struggle, but I was able to get through it, or I hope I'm asking that correctly.
Yeah, no, and I think it was on my side a little bit that you cut out. I think what you were asking was, what part was the most challenging with starting the company? Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So really, for me, the most challenging was the cigar bands themselves. Finding a company that wasn't going to completely rob you of just doing foiled embossed bands. That's step one, and then two, the cigars. The cigars, you have to proof so much, and you have to kind of step away from being a consumer, and you have to put yourself in the business mindset of like, you want to be the harshest critic possible to that cigar. Like, what, like, take that cigar apart, dude. Like, do everything you can to hate on it. Be the biggest hater. And
Correct.
And finding a reputable manufacturer, that's a huge deal too, because you never know. Like, with some of these guys, I mean, I had one dude that gave me half long filler, half short filler, and was trying to charge me $10 a stick. And it's like, you know, like no, like that's not a thing. You know, not only is that not a thing as far as the quality that's coming out of that, but you know, that's not even a thing as far as trying to give that to a consumer at a price point. It's like, no, this isn't what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you have to just remember, like, you know, the values of yourself and your brand and your business, and you want to just try to act on those as much as you can every single step of that way.
Yeah.
Hey, to that, yeah, that's pretty cool. To that, like, were you saying you had to find the right person? Which, dude, this thing, if you can see it, it's fucking awesome. The whole thing, from end to end, it's great, man. I love this thing. But you were saying you took your time figuring that out. Was there was there multiple iterations of the cigars before you actually released them? Like, how long was that process before you actually did it?
Yeah, I mean, that probably took a year, and just finding companies that would work with you on the blends. Some of these guys have been doing it for decades, and they're super prideful. Like, they won't deviate from the blends that they've already created. And if you feel comfortable selling that, like, that's fine. But like, for me, you know, my brand is already so unique and very different, and everything about it is just, you know, trying to be forward progress, you know, that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to kind of try to come out with something to the market that is uncharted territory, like the Candelas, you know, I always tell people, you know, it would have been great to have those like Ray-Ban glasses that have the little camera in the corner, because every single person's face that I told I was going to do a Candela as a core line before I released it, they were like, dude, you're on something, you know, like, that's not going to work. I wouldn't do that, you know, and like the faces were just kind of like twisted up and like disgusted. And it's like, no, like, the Candela is so drastically different from everything else that's around that it's in its own, you know, category. So yeah, no, I've tried with like different blenders. Yeah, again, you're just gonna have to, you know, if you're gonna do a cigar company, you know, be prepared to smoke a lot of cigars. Because,
oh no!
I can't tell you how many times my wife was like, dude, you stink, man. And I'm like, I get it, you know, and I'd come in there coughing because I smoked, you know, 4 or 5 cigars, and just trying to understand, you know, everything about the cigar through and through. And like I said, it wasn't until the people that I partnered with now that I was blown away by it, the core line that I have, and was just like, let's do it.
And I imagine that's got to be tough, because it's like, all right, I need to come up with my core line. You're smoking all these cigars, and you probably had a lot of bad ones, you probably had a lot of good ones, and a lot of in between. And that had to have been tough to try to narrow it down to, this is my box press Habano, this is my Maduro, this is my Candela. Like, you know, I mean, I would love to sit there and smoke a whole bunch of cigars with you, but like, to have to then dial it in, like, I've got to pick one.
Yeah,
that had to have been kind of a tough deal.
It's super stressful. I mean, when you're looking at it like that, and I mean, as soon as you release that core line and you're doing your thing, I mean, you're committed, man. Like, like you're locked in. Like, you're locked in. And so, I mean, for me, that was probably the most stressful out of the whole thing, was just like, every night I'm like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? Like, are people gonna enjoy the stick? Like, that's what I really care about. Like, if they enjoy the stick, then it makes doing my part a lot easier. And yeah, no, dude, I would sit there countless nights, and it's really hard not to second guess yourself and just commit and just do it. You know, let the chips fall where they may, and just, you know, just know at the end of the day you did your best. And if your best wasn't good enough, then so be it. You know, you did what you could.
And when you were going through the process of trying the different blends to try to dial it in, was it, if you don't mind me asking, was it solely you, or did you have like a couple of buddies that you were like, hey, I think these might be it, do you want to try, or how did that go?
It was only me.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, no, it's only me, and it wasn't even like on purpose. Like it's not like I was like, oh, I only trust my palate. Everybody else can go kick rocks. You know, it was only me. I would get the samples to my house, and the only other person that lives in my house is my wife and my son. And my son is definitely not smoking cigars. You know, so he's 2.5, to put that in perspective for you. So yeah, that's a no-go. And like I said, my wife, you know, she doesn't mind cigars. She likes the tobacco smell, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And she likes the opportunity and where the cigar company can really go. But she is not a cigar smoker. Like, I think if I saw her smoking a cigar, I'd be kind of concerned. Like if she wasn't feeling right. Yeah.
I would say adding the Candela to your core line was a smart move because honestly, that's one of the things that caught my eye about it initially when I started seeing it pop up all over my Instagram feed. All those cool pictures of people, your stuff, and then people just submitting theirs and you resharing that. I was like, all right, if they got a Candela, I got to try a Candela. I went through a Candela kick in 2022. I was trying everything Candela. So it is fun to like go to something, you know, it's not kind of different every once in a while. And I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting because like my cigar is named after my dog, right? But the Candela itself, I have a buddy that's a naval pilot, and when him and I were like 18, 19, 20, like that's all he would smoke is the Camacho, you know, St. Patty's Day special edition Candela. And he would be bent out of shape when those things would go off the shelf or people just wouldn't carry them. And so knowing how much he had thoroughly enjoyed, you know, Candelas and the friendship that him and I have always had, and he was someone that always had stuck beside me, even when I was at the height of my PTSD. You know, I told him, I was like, I'm going to blend a Candela. I was like, it's going to be definitely the hardest one that I'm going to have to do, but I want to do something that commemorates the friendship as well, and kind of like behind the scenes. And that way, if you ever have the itch to smoke a Candela, hopefully mine can scratch it. And yeah, no, he drives me crazy with those things. Like if he wasn't in training, he probably would be buying them and pestering me for free ones and all kinds of shit.
Hey, I have a question for you. You mentioned that you know, you had to kind of just dive into the cigar industry. You know, as a consumer, I would imagine that, you know, you're on one side of the wall, and as a cigar brand, you're on the other side, looking at all the aspects of the cigar industry, getting to know personalities, getting to know attitudes of people, getting to know just like the mechanisms of like how the business runs. You know, like are the people trustworthy? Are the people shady? So, what's your take on that from going to a consumer cigar smoker to going into business, the tobacco business? What do you think about the business as a whole?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, and for me, you know, I wouldn't say it's so much of a mixed bag. You know, it's just like everything else. You know, you have people that are, you know, assholes and they're shady, and yeah, that's just, you know, it almost seems like that's life at this point. You know, it doesn't matter what industry you go into. You know, it's determined or it's destined rather that you're going to have that happen. But for me, in my, you know, situation, I have had, you know, utmost, you know, very supportive people, you know, and I think as well as, you know, me being a little bit vulnerable of my situation and what I'm trying to do is, you know, kind of taking people's, you know, walls down, so to speak, if you will, about being, you know, hostile as far as, you know, what's new competition, you know, or whatever. You know, I've had very big open arms, you know, from the cigar community as a whole. And like I said, yeah, granted, don't get me wrong, you will have those people that, you know, that'll gatekeep, and they'll just be like, well, you're not coming into this space, like, piss off. And that's fine. But I would say the cigar industry as a whole has really taken care of me and has helped me every step of the way that, you know, it possibly could.
So I guess
kind of piggyback off. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Hugo.
So for you, it's been like a positive type of experience, regardless of there's shady people out there, or like people that have like a negative attitude, right? For you, it's been a
Yeah.
positive experience. Nice.
Yeah, and like the other thing too that I always tell people, it's it's always the crowd that you kind of put yourself around, especially as a business owner in the cigar industry. If you're constantly trying to surround yourself with these guys that make you look like the shit on their shoe, they're gonna treat you like that, and they're not gonna give you the opportunities as someone that doesn't. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more opportunity, and you have to kind of recognize when someone or a group of people just don't have your best intentions in mind, and they don't really care if you succeed or fail, and they would rather almost you fail, so that way you kind of stop taking some of the spotlight away, and just separating yourself. Take yourself out of that group, put yourself over here where people want to see you succeed at all costs, and they'll do whatever it can to help you. That's the big thing.
Yeah, speaking of that, we have a comment here. I'm not sure if this is a positive or negative comment, but we're going to take it as a positive comment. Yes, it's another cigar brand, and it's a great cigar brand. So take it like it is, brother.
And a great cigar brand that's doing good things in the community.
Definitely.
Not just a good cigar, but somebody who's also giving back, so makes it even better.
I guess the people in here that that are in here, I don't think I've mentioned it, but that comment kind of reminds me, like, so the cigar company and the brand that I have, with Silent Hero Cigar, 10% of all profits, they get ripped right out of the company, and they get put into an organization that we partner with for that month. And it changes, and it can kind of, and sometimes it can stay the same depending on the organization. So we take 10% of our profits for that month and give that directly to the organization we partnered with. That way it helps them in their mission, whether that be service dogs, morale building events, or, like therapy services, things of that nature. That's a huge portion of the business, and, the most important. Cigars are great, but the mission and what we're actually doing after you purchase the cigar is actually what's changing lives, around the world, or well, not around the world, but around the country rather.
Yeah.
With sure. That, what company or the organization was it for this month? And do you have any idea what's the organization for next month?
Yeah, so this month I partnered up with American Warrior Outdoor. They're a small company, I believe, in North Carolina. And like I said, they take veterans that have PTSD. Their slogan is "No veteran left alone," or "No veteran is alone." So they take veterans out and they do fishing trips. I believe when the weather starts to turn and it gets colder, they do more hunting, expeditions and all that kind of stuff. But anything that they do with the veterans, it's paid, and they don't have to pay out of pocket. So it's all courtesy of that organization. And then next month we're partnering up with a organization that trains service dogs here in Wyoming. They're called Project Kenny, and so we're working with them for the month of November. And I'll tell you guys as well, for the month of December, we're doing a holiday raffle that I'll announce a little bit later into November, and 20% of the proceeds from that raffle will actually be donated to a food service for the homeless veterans here in Cheyenne. And so that way we can take care of them while the weather is brutally cold in December.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
Now,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Frank.
No, go ahead. I was just going to do a cigar check, but go ahead.
Oh, gotcha. So I was just going to ask, do you have a process for like vetting the organizations you donate to? Because I'm assuming you're not just like, oh, this is a vet organization here, let me throw 10% your way, because you seem like a guy that's going to like do stuff very methodically with what you're doing.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of a process behind it. One of it being, obviously, first and foremost, it's got to be legit. So like they've got to give me their 501(c) certificate. So they've got to display that proof, if you will. And then after that, it kind of becomes the question of like, okay, well, I'm going to give you money at the end of the month. Like, what are you going to do with that money? Like, where does that go? And organizations that can't answer that question, or they're reluctant to, and they're really kind of beating around the bush, I don't partner with them, because it's just, there's no point, because you know what they're trying to do. And so the Veterans Day plug is actually, what do you mean by the Veterans Day plug? Oh, Greg, that's actually what I was talking about. So the raffle will begin, around Veterans Day, once I can kind of get all of these organizations' items in the door, get nice pictures taken, and then, announce it from there. So I'll go through, make sure that they're legit, make sure the money's going to actually a place that they're, they have a plan, so to speak. And then on top of that, like, it's got to align with the mission. It can't just be a veteran not-for-profit and they, I don't even know. Like, it has to be on brand of PTSD. Like, it has to help veterans with PTSD is what I'm trying to say. And if it doesn't do that, then obviously I'm not going to partner with them, because that's not what I'm doing. And so, like, for example, like the American Warrior Outdoor, I know when I donate money to him, that's helping veterans get their hunting trip paid for. And that way they can go out there stress-free. They don't have to worry about the tag, gear, rifle, whatever. And they can just go do their thing, and they can go be around, their brothers and sisters that have that in common, and just be done.
Nice.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question. Being as that you are in the cigar industry and in that world, did you come across many dry beggars? Like, once you kind of started getting cigars, and I mean, did they just come out of everywhere? Oh, you have a company now and all that?
Yeah, and like, what's really cool about my importer is, these guys have been doing it, I believe, for 18 years now. And, the biggest thing that he had told me, he was like, hey, look, like, you're going to get cigars in the door. Once your company goes live, like, you're going to get people asking you for free samples. He was like, be very selective with what you're doing. He was like, you have a very limited capital. He was like, you need to be very particular as to what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, it was like the floodgates opened. And I have, and it's no slight to the cigar industry at all. I'm sure it happens everywhere. But like, I have never been asked for free stuff more in my entire life. Like, and I completely understand it. But at the same time, it's like, when I'm giving free samples and stuff like that, those are dedicated to lounges. Like, I have to give those to lounges, because those are the most logical for me to say, hey, look, at no risk to you, I know, like, you're interested in carrying the brand, but you just want to try them first. Look, I want to show you good faith and show you, you don't have to just take on money and then if you don't like it, you're stuck. I want you to be comfortable with exactly what's coming in the door. You don't have to take all of them. You can just take one, like, just let me know. And so as far as the free stuff, I've been very blessed that people, want to have free cigars and they want to take pictures and kind of do promo and stuff like that, which is great. But just in the position that I'm currently in, I'm very flattered, but like, I can't swing it. You know what I mean? Which it's hard, it's hard to part with, say a whole sample pack when, say, Frank buys a sample pack and that's a paying customer, and, and I'm trying to keep inventory and I got to coordinate shipments coming in, and, it makes it a supply chain nightmare at that point, Yeah.
You want to answer the question on the screen real quick, right there, Bryce? So about a year, long story short, I've been smoking, I don't think I said this either. I've been smoking for about 8 years. So it's tricky when you're blending cigars. Your palate might enjoy it, but say someone, one of these guys, or all of these guys might hate it, because you just created something that, is disgusting, but you enjoy it. And so being a business owner at that point, it's really intimidating. Like, you really have to put some faith on your palate, and you really have to not second guess yourself and just send it. Once you get the blend perfected as to how you like it for each of the lines that you're doing, or line that you're doing, just stick by your guns and just go for it. You mind if I ask one more question, Frank? Sorry, I know you're eager to get that other one out.
No, actually, it goes back to just checking the cigar check and
let's do that.
notes. I know Matt's already done because he busted out the pipe.
Yeah.
Pipe time.
So
Me and Bryce are about the same place.
I will say I've been just like listening and just constantly smoking. I'm almost done with mine, and at the very end, I picked up a leather note, and that's honestly leather and pepper are my favorite notes that I get out of cigars, and this one has it. I mean, this has been doing amazing. It's not a very punch you in the face and steal your girl type of cigar, and it's just been really smooth. And I've thoroughly been enjoying it. And I think I might light up the Candela because I'm seeing how much y'all like it. Next.
Yeah, I'll say about mine, the spice has picked up a little bit, but it's very pleasant and it's very consistent.
My Habano, I started getting about halfway through. I started getting like a nut, like a walnut maybe. It was very enjoyable with mine. The spice ramped up a little bit, but like still like a toot. I like spice. But yeah, this thing was enjoyable all the way down through the final third. And for me, a lot of cigars, they'll kind of dip off in the final third. And this one maintained for the whole way, so I like that.
Ugo?
I'm like catching up to you guys already. I'm like in
You're
the middle of the last third here.
Yeah.
Textbook smoking time here, 45 minutes. So far, it's a solid cigar for me. Like I said, it started off with that like a bright cedar note, very smooth on the retro and on the palate, not aggressive at all. Here, somewhere in between like the middle and where I'm at now, I'm getting a lot of floorness. So I don't know if you get that, Bryce, because I know a lot of us, it's the first time smoking these cigars, but that's what I'm getting. And I could say it's like somewhere in between mild to medium minus bodied and strength. It's not a very aggressive Connecticut at all. It would be a great choice for your first cigar of the day, whenever that is, to be honest with you, because I just got off of work, had a quick dinner, and it's not like attacking me. So I like that for my first cigar. And then obviously you have your other lines, so I'll try the other ones later.
For sure. DC?
So when I was in the second third, I definitely got that tea, and that was nice because that was actually my first time getting it. And I don't know if it was just subconsciously because Randall said it, but it was very strong, but pleasant. Like I liked it a lot. Going into the final third, I still have that haze, that nutty note, which is always incredibly nice. So yeah, I'm digging this thing.
That's awesome. Another note is going back to what you were saying. We all bought our own cigars, and we did that because it's the cause is a great cause, and we're trying to support brands as much as we can. We have a lot of other brand owners, and we'll talk to them, and we don't ever ask, hey, send us cigars. We're like, hey, where can we find them? And that's what like we're about. We want to make sure we support you and support whoever we have on the show as much as we can, of course. So I mean, I know just with one cigar, I know I'll be picking up more, especially of this one. I will definitely be buying more of this, and the only mistake that I made in buying is that I forgot I did not put the stickers and the I don't know if you have the 2 stickers y'all have. I should have added them to.
Yeah, the sticker, and then we just did a pre-release of the Veterans Day patch that we ran. We started it a little bit early, and before Veterans Day, because her and I both were like, we don't really know if these are going to sell. Like we wanted to give it some time to sell out, and again, just going back to being blessed for the support that I have. I sold all those patches in 2 hours.
Wow.
That's freaking
wow.
awesome.
Amazing,
no,
bro.
That is cool.
Thank you.
And I got one of those, so hell yes. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Hey, I wanted to go back real quick to piggyback off what Ugo was asking about you being the consumer and now being a brand owner. And you talking about that, you know, some people were kind of holding back and giving you information. You don't have to give a name, or you can say pass if you want to, but is there an owner, a company that really just opened their arms to you and like, do you want to shout them out? You know, like how did that feel?
No, absolutely. So there's a company, I'm sure you guys have seen them on Instagram as well, Toro Cigar Company.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys, you know, Mike Glover, you know, the guy completely, you know, I sent him cigars, just kind of was like, hey, you know, let me know your feedback. You know, I'd love to get them in Toro and your guys' online retail shop. You know, let me know what you think. And the response from him and like that whole staff as well was just so open armed and, you know, so like, hey, have you thought of doing this? Have you, you know, we really love, you know, like the one guy, you know, is a through and through Candela smoker. Like he seeks them out. And when there's a new Candela on the market, you know, he tries them, whatever. And he was, you know, I don't think those guys, you know, BS when they say things because they're pretty straight shooters. And the guy said that the Candela that I have is his favorite, you know, that he's ever smoked.
Wow.
So to go into an environment like those guys, that's why, you know, when you guys asked me that question about the culture around the cigar industry, you know, people like, you know, the staff at Toro, you know, those are the guys that come to my head immediately. You know, guys like yourselves, where you guys do podcasts, you know, everyone has really opened the door for me and been like, hey, come in, you know, we're good, you know, you're good, you know, let's dissect what's going on. You know, we want to help you in any which way we can. And Toro was the epitome of that in the beginning.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that was one of the videos we all kind of saw to at first, so we can kind of like know a little bit about you. Was that the Toro video, that the interview they had with you, and that was amazing. Those guys are pretty cool. Like I've always seen, I think 727 Mike, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was me. Sorry, that was motorcycle. There's got to be one in every podcast, right?
We're at the races.
Let me just mute on out of here.
Like, Randall, you live in a drag strip or what?
If you watch my videos long enough, you'll start counting them. People have motorcycles, they have big trucks, they have sound systems, all because I'm out here filming. It's quiet as hell when I'm not filming, but
Ugo has horses coming out on his videos. You have racers. I apparently have fireworks that annoy the hell out of me during 4th of July. But yeah, so let me go back.
So Bryce, if you can, or if you want to talk about it, do you have any plans like with future sizes, different blends you want to come out with? And if it's too much, you know, too far ahead, you don't have to answer it. But and also on top of that, what would be your dream size of cigar to make, as far as like what's your favorite shape to smoke and all that?
Yeah, so what I'm working on right now is doing a double Corona, you know, a 48 by 7 1/4, I believe it is. And so I'm working on that, and that's going to be, you know, that has a lot of potential right now to be an absolute flavor bomb. Yeah, I'm trying to work with that and kind of take out the aspects of it that I'm, you know, it seems like I'm getting wrong, if that makes sense. But what I want to do with that cigar, I think, is going to, you know, just like with every cigar in my line, you know, every cigar is named after something that's very sentimental, whether that's to me or someone that's helped me along my way. And that cigar will be nothing short of that. It'll actually, instead of it being named after someone or something, it'll be kind of like a expression. And I won't give it all up because, you know, I'm very excited for that. And like, you know, as, you know, I definitely don't want somebody taking it. So, no, so, and then the dream cigar that I would love to do is like just a classic Churchill. Just a 50 by, I think 50 by 8 or something like that. Like something that's just really obnoxious, well, not obnoxious, but something that is just so far outside of like the core line that I have. But again, you're just getting flavor all the way through the cigar. So you're constantly getting it the entire, 2 hours that you're smoking it or whatever, however long depends on the person smoking, obviously. But, making sure that all the way through that thing, you're just getting flavor after flavor after flavor to where you're almost annoyed that the damn thing is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So another question I was going to ask you, going back again, the question was when you were blending, I know like certain people that do blend their own cigars, they I know like Steve Saka, he says whenever he blends for himself.
Yeah.
When you blend, do you blend with the consumer in mind, or are you thinking what cigars you like and what appeases you is what you're going to go and release?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky because I mean I remember reading that one or hearing that rather, him say that, and it made so much sense because it's like, hey, like, if you're the lone wolf, doing the blending, you have to trust your palate. You have to trust that your palate is going to enjoy a mutual thing as everyone else will, or at least the vast majority of will. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of tricky. I wanted to, as far as the blending, yes, I wanted to kind of blend it off of my palate because that's the only thing that I knew. And then on top of that, I wanted to produce a cigar, and people love different sizes. Like everyone has their own different go-tos. But I wanted something that was kind of that middle ground where like, everyone has smoked a Robusto. People can smoke Robustos and it's not going to take you 2 hours, 2.5, whatever. And everyone can kind of get behind it in essence. And so that aspect of like the size and the shape, that's the consumer in mind. And the box press, I went through, I kind of was like driving myself crazy with the box press because I didn't know if I wanted to do it a different wrapper, like if I wanted to do it like a Cameroon or something like that. But then at the end of the day, I was like, the Habano is a really good middle ground in my line. And I want to be able to capture that box press market because there are some people that only smoke box presses. Like they just swear by it. And that's their go-to. And people that even aren't like that, they will still try a box press. Like they're not opposed to it. So those couple of things, are consumer in mind. But as far as the blend is based off of my palate because that's all I had.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like when you hear Steve Saka say it, at first you're like, man, that's he's not thinking about the consumer, but it makes sense that he's the one who is creating these blends. If he doesn't like it, why is he going to mass produce it? You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
You can't just go and be like, oh well, I think they might like it. I'm not sure. It's got to be part of it. I mean, and I know I asked the question, but I mean, it's just there. I have seen some other brand owners that are like, I blend for consumer, and I'm like, well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I'm glad they're doing it, but if you don't like it, chances are other people might not like it, or if you don't feel comfortable with releasing it, why are you going to release it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if you look at it from this kind of perspective too, that like if we're sitting on here having doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
All of you guys are smoking Silent Hero cigars. And imagine I'm sitting here smoking a My Father and not my own stick. That just doesn't ring right. You know what I mean? Like why isn't the brand owner enjoying his own stick?
Correct.
Like it just doesn't make sense. Like if someone is a chef, and they're cooking, why isn't he eating his own food? Like
why is he ordering McDonald's?
Yeah, like why did he get Burger King on the way here, but he cooked me dinner? Like it's just.
Yeah, I get you.
Now
that you're a brand owner and you have your own line of cigars and you stand by them. Now, does the smoking experience for other cigars, does it make it different now that you have your own line? Like, are you a little more harder on other brands, knowing that now you have like your brand that you like, you worked hard to curate your line. Now you go back and you smoke like a Arturo Fuente, you're like, I think I could do it better.
Yeah, and like, I think that's the big thing is like, when I go back to legacy sticks now, it's very monotone. It's kind of this one flavor note all the way through the stick, and it's almost like robbing people of the experience. And like, granted, I understand these really huge companies that are doing cigars like that. They're doing millions of cigars, a year. Granted, versus me, where I'm doing not even, you can't even hold a torch to that thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I have obviously, and other boutique brands, not just myself. We have a lot more free range and a lot more creativity because we're not mass producing these things. We have really methodical quality control all around the board, and we can really scrutinize every cigar and make sure that the cigar has a lot of flavor notes where it's a complete bomb. Like for a $12 cigar or $11 cigar, you can be happy at the end of the day that you smoked that and you paid for that, and not just be like, well, I could get an AJ Fernandez New World and it would be better than this. You know what I mean? Like, you almost have to kind of put those in perspective as well. And and it's just the fun part. Any boutique cigar manufacturer, I would be willing to bet on it that they thoroughly enjoy the process, because they can have any free range of creativity that they can. It's not throttled by anything. They can do whatever they want.
So you mentioned boutique. Now here's a new topic that I've been seeing a lot. Now, would you consider yourself a boutique brand or a craft brand? Now, that is a new one that started popping up, and like I myself on my YouTube channel, I'm starting I want to start a series where I start smoking some of these newer cigars that aren't as well known. I just don't know whether to call them boutique or craft, because again, it's because now you have someone like Crown Heads that they are boutique, but they're in a bigger scale. You know what I mean? Like they're almost at the point where they have so many cigars, they're almost at a legacy brand.
Yeah, like they're starting to get past the boutique status, which is excellent for them.
Yeah, of course.
And what's it called? Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on your audience. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like I know 757 Mike, over at Toro Cigar, those guys are really trying to push the new verbiage of craft cigars, and they have their own reasoning, which I completely understand and stand behind that as well. But as far as what people really are understanding as a whole, they understand the boutique. And when you say boutique, they know that it's a small batch company. But again, when you look at the whole craft argument versus boutique, it's kind of the same way. You have craft beers, you have craft liquors and stuff like that, where there's small batch, small, limited run, releases of, whatever product. So no, I mean, I understand both sides of the coin. And at the end of the day, it's what I would say is it's whatever you're comfortable with saying. At the end of the day, you're just kind of splitting hairs, and it's just your preference. It's just like cigars as a whole. Like, it's your preference. If you want to say craft, say craft. Do your thing. If you want to say boutique, and that's what your mind has always stuck on is boutique, then say boutique. Like, at the end of the day, it's your thing. It's especially for you, it's your YouTube. Run that thing how you want to run it, man.
Yeah, that's the question. Like I start seeing now, and I'm like, that's a new one. By the way, I'm gonna interrupt myself again. I picked up a lot of the I'm smoking the Candela, and now I'm getting a lot of the florality. Like, oh my god, like I don't taste the green tea yet, but the florality of the cigar and the retrohale is freaking phenomenal, man. It's wow. Like, I understand now, like, where you say your Candela is your showstopper. I get it, man. It's doing really good. Even going from the Maduro, which was stronger, to this, I mean, I still have all the flavors, and the pepper for me is at about a 4 as well on this one, is on the retro. So,
Interesting.
but good. Like, it's not overpowering. It's not killing my nostrils. It's not stinging. It's just I do when you retro, you feel the peppery. On the Maduro, I didn't feel it as much. On the Candela, I do, but it's good. It's very, very good. Anyways.
I'll say too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was just gonna say the finish on the Candela, it stays with you too. Like, it's got a decently long finish right on the middle of the palate, and I mean, I've been puffing away at this thing like while everybody's been talking, and I can't put it down. I could put it down, but I just don't. Matt, you got a question? What's in the pipe?
What's in the pipe on that one? I had loaded. Nope, wasn't that. Some warped scarecrow.
Halloween
blend for Halloween. Why not?
There you go, dude.
The other one I've got loaded, some Wazo Witch 2024, little LE action. So,
more Halloween themed.
Yeah, figured might as well. Bryce, you ever get into pipe tobacco?
I tried it. When I was going through my technical training for the Army back in 2017 or 2018, and looking back at it and kind of being around these cigar shops that have pipe tobacco, I was definitely smoking not high quality pipe tobacco. So that probably was why I was not enjoying that as much as as I probably would have if I was smoking something probably like that. And I don't know, man, like, the pipe aspect is really cool. I love the woodworking that goes into those things. But I'm just it sounds funny, but I'm very impatient. And so to sit there and constantly nurture that,
tamper and
to constantly do that, it just would be like, I'd be like, all right, just give me the cigar so I can just light the damn thing and just move around my day.
Yeah, I think that's where most of us are. I mean, like, I love the fact that Matt is our go-to pipe guy, but I am like you. I am impatient. I just want to light it and forget about it and just let it, smoke.
And that is the thing with a pipe. It's like, if I'm doing stuff around the house, out in the yard or something, I can't smoke a pipe. A pipe is got to be when I'm sitting here. I'm not going to be moving around doing something, because you do always got to be babying the thing. But
oh, it's good.
Oh, looks like we got a question from old Ben down here. Future blends or sizes, or just continue keeping the blends consistent?
So really, like, what I'm working on right now is a double Corona. Just the name of that cigar and what that cigar is going to mean. The notes of that are going to be very different from the blends that I currently have. That's, it's fun for me. I love the blends and how they are right now with the core line, but, just me being, again, wanting to be different and kind of step away from other people in the cigar industry with what I have to offer. The new cigar that I'm coming out with, hopefully I'll have it ready by spring of next year. That won't be, a traditional core line blend. It'll have still the same, the flavor bomb that, each of those sticks have. But as far as the notes that you'll get out of it, it'll be completely different.
Nice. So again, this is where I'm at with the Candela. Man, this thing's really nice. Like I haven't taken time to look at the leaf. And everything's beautiful about this, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a tricky wrapper for sure.
Bryce, I noticed that the Candelas don't come in cello. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, so really what started that whole thing was when I first got the cigars in. I got the cello and the 5x50s, and I was like, shit, I completely forgot the Toros. And then I was like, oh, like I'll put everything else in cellophane, because kind of what is tricky with candelas is candela leaf is like a sponge. So whatever it's around, it's going to absorb that smell, and it can be very tricky. So if you don't have it stored in the right, in the proper environment, it's going to taste like however you had it stored. So if you had it laying on top of a bunch of other sticks that were maybe like more oily, like the Maduro, it's gonna trap in that oil from that other cigar and whatever. And what I really found is laying them, because I have them on Spanish cedar shelves. Yeah, that's a hard one if you say that fast a couple of times. So what I found on there is actually that cedar goes into the cigar itself, so it kind of plays into the notes as well as you're smoking it, and it gives it that little extra oomph when you light up the foot. So it was kind of one of those accidental finds that I had, and ever since then I was like, you know what, I'll keep everything else in cellophane, and I'm just going to keep that one out. And and it's worked beautifully. Like I haven't had any issues as far as it absorbing any other smells and whatever. And I like I said, I think the part that kind of made me nervous, looking back on it too, to put them in cellophane, is when you're putting them in, the candela leaf is so delicate that if you don't have that cellophane correctly when you're going to put it in, it's going to completely snag it onto that leaf, and it can rip it as well. And I've seen that even with like my Maduro, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, that's going to drive me crazy. And so if it's doing it with my Maduro, where it's traditionally going to be a lot tougher of a leaf, I can only imagine the type of headaches and chaos that I would have with my candela.
I learned so much on this podcast, man.
No, that's the point of this podcast. Is I wanted it to be a learning experience for everybody, and you being our first brand and brand owner. I mean, again, we do appreciate you taking the time out of your day and talking with us. I know. I mean, I'm sure you have done several podcasts, and we want to kind of have a chill atmosphere here. We're not, we're not prepping you for a job interview. We're not, I wanted you to have a good time, and that's hopefully is where it's going. I do have another question. I did write it down. So, what do you hope Southern Hero Cigar will achieve in the long run, both your business, and for the veteran community you're supporting?
Yeah, so really in fact, and before I forget, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't be more thankful for you guys having me on. So before I forget to say that, truly.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And so really what I want to have happen with my company is, it's an ambitious goal, and, again, I'm going to try my damnedest to achieve it. With whether it's the 44 a day or the 22 a day that everybody has come to know as far as veteran suicide every day, that ultimately is my personal goal, to reduce that down just to 21 a day. That's the long goal for Silent Hero, is to be able to take that number down and just at least contribute help to reduce it to 21. And then on top of that, for the veteran community, I really want to show people that, hey, there are people that give a shit, like your brothers and sisters and stuff, like, are trying to take care of you in any which way they can. And just be kind of that pillar, be in the cigar community as that pillar of saying, hey, look, like, that company right here, they donate 10% of their profits, month every single month rather, to help, our brothers and sisters fight that fight to stay here for one more day, and to, whether it be a father or, a mother to their kids, or be a husband or a wife, to show them that their lives matter, and to show them as well that, we haven't forgot about them, that we're there, 10 toes down on the ground, and, we'll do whatever we can to help them.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's a good cause. And I don't know if you can switch over to the next comment, Hugo. I know that you recently talked to Crazy Gringo. He is one of our brothers. We have him on our group chats, and we also saw that interview. He said he's also a really good guy. He had nothing but great things to say about you guys when he heard that we're going to have you. He was super excited, and so that's another guy that he's also I think he's Navy or
maybe
Coast Guard.
maybe
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard,
or
yeah,
Coast Guard. There you go. Sorry,
Something in the water,
sorry, John.
you know?
yeah. But yeah. So he's our one of our good brothers, and so he also had nothing but great things to say about you, and again, everyone that knew that we were having you on the podcast and on the channel has had nothing but great things to say about you. We've watched your interviews, your videos, and it's just a positive thing you're doing for the cigar community. And again, we, as our podcast, we thank you and thank you for your time. I do know that we're set to be at an hour and a half, and we're at that point. Are there any other questions from the panel? And anything y'all want to mention or bring up, guys?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, and I just want to. We appreciate you as well, Bryce, for coming on and sharing everything about Silent Hero cigars. I personally have thoroughly enjoyed the Candela. I can't wait to get into the Box Press Habano. I'll probably do a review for that one. Actually, it'll be a Veterans Day review. That's what I'll do. So,
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, and I'm also gonna add that to my series of newer brand cigars, and should be. I'm gonna start. I have them already recorded. I have a couple already recorded. Another one that I just did is I don't know if you heard of Don Boggin.
Yep, Debo. Yeah, no,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so I have a couple of his cigars, and he's done good. I know he's out in Japan, and he's also a veteran, so he's also a very cool guy as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna also do the reviews as well. I want to say I'll probably do the. So you have the box press Habano, and then you have a regular Habano.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'll do the regular Habano if Randall's going to do the box press for now, and then I'll switch over and do the box press one too. But yeah, so again, everything's been amazing. Any other anything you want to say, Hugo or Dan?
Yeah, I was talking, then I realized I was on mute. I apologize.
It happens, brother. It happens.
I think it was. I had it a second ago. It was just around. I mean, you're busy, man. You're a brand owner now. Congratulations. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You take a lot of time out to do a lot of these podcasts, these interviews and everything. What's the day like? What's your day to day, dude? Like, because I can imagine you're probably tired right now, man.
No, I mean, well, I run off of espresso and nicotine, so I mean, I'm pretty juiced throughout the day. You know what I mean? So, no, so I mean, it's funny because I still work a day job, still do my thing there. I'm actually trying to transition into a different job right now, and then I come home. I've got, like I said, I've got a 2.5-year-old. When I come home from work, I'm dad. And I try my best to put the phone down and try to just do what I can without distractions and give him my full attention. That's a personal thing for me. And so after he goes to bed, that's work time. And if I've got questions from shop owners or guys like yourselves, where you guys are doing podcasts and you're having me on, I'm usually answering those kinds of questions and phone calls and stuff like that while I'm with my kid, and really try to not. But once he goes to bed, that's when I virtually clock in, and and I'm doing that. I'm doing all this stuff on social media. I'm making sure I'm engaging with people that are again putting their pictures, putting stuff out there that they took pride in. Reaching out to them and letting them know, like, thank you very much. Like, I hope you enjoy that stick. And like, having DMs, I respond to DMs throughout the night, which can get pretty interesting. I always tell people, if you want to step into the mental health industry, as far as, whatever you're doing, be prepared, because you're going to have people that are going to reach out and they're going to try to confide in you. And it doesn't matter if they've never seen you before. I've had a guy reach out to me where his, a really close relative to him committed suicide, and that was a Green Beret. So that really, I had to sit there and, well, not that I had to, but I lended an ear and, try to give some, coping, advice, and just be there as a person, brand aside, be there as a human being for that person that suffered a tragedy. And that type of situation is something that, unfortunately, well too accustomed to. And so, I mean, that's usually my night. I'm working, I'm putting in the time on the brand, making sure that everybody is, getting my attention, making sure that everybody is getting the love from, us as a company. And also, if people have questions for me, making sure that I'm answering those. I'm always on somebody's live, so that's another thing. Usually I don't go into my house until like 11:30, and then wake up at, if my kid sleeps through the night, wake up at like 7:15 and do it all over again. So it's a pretty busy day. But again, if you're doing something that, you thoroughly enjoy, you just don't even think about it. You're just kind of like, do, and then next thing you know, it's 11:30, and you're like, shit, I probably should go inside. My wife's gonna be pissed,
Oh yeah, but totally understand
Well,
that.
yeah, I wish you all the best, man. I really do, that this takes off where, you can leave that 9 to 5 and really put some attention to the brand, and obviously keep that attention to your kid. That'd be awesome, man. I do hope that all the best for you.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I'm busting my ass to try to get it to where I can leave the 9 to 5 as a whole. And
that wasn't me this time.
that one was me. I'm sorry. That was
That motorcycle made it from North Carolina to Texas already, man.
Dude,
he got there.
That tiny wiener bike guy just kind of just drove by right now.
Oh, he lives near me.
Trying to overcompensate. Look at Mike from
the Abandoned
Carpenter is on.
Hey Bryce, so I know that the cigar factory where you make your cigars, it's not disclosed, and a lot of brands don't disclose their factory. Why is that?
Mainly because they don't want. It all goes down to the blending. Primarily, and then the tobaccos that they source, that's the big reason. And then some of them, like in my position, they've asked me to not disclose that, and I didn't ask questions. Like, again, I was very thankful and very fortunate that they took me in and worked with me as to the extent that they have. So I don't, I wasn't even questioning that. But as far as what I've gathered through my time in the industry as a brand owner and talking to other brand owners, it's a matter of, at least from what I've gathered, is the tobacco that they source in that particular factory. They don't want that, in other cigars and other, and things of that nature, because it kind of takes away from the integrity of, the uniqueness, if you will.
Okay.
Like a proprietary type thing.
Yeah, like for example, like the Candela, I can say this, like, for sure, is, and it's on my website too, like, I don't hide any type of wrapper, binder, filler information. Like the Candela is very unique because it's a Indonesian wrapper and binder with a Nicaraguan filler. And so when you're smoking it and you're getting a little bit of that pepper, that faint pepper note, that's the Nicaraguan tobacco. And then the floral is all of that Indonesian that you're getting, and it's just so pronounced because the Candela leaf is already extremely flavorful. Yeah. But you just have to blend it right. Like, if you do, like, I tried a Nicaraguan wrapper, and that thing was like a punch to my face. Like, it just wasn't working, and I was like, like, okay.
How many cigars do you smoke a day as a brand owner now? Has your smoking quantity gone up? I'm sure it has a little bit. Or were you smoking like multiple?
Mainly I would say like right now, a good average for me is like once a day, which is really tame compared to other people. But again, a lot of these other brand owners, they might not work a 9 to 5, so they can sit there and they can smoke cigars all day and they're doing events all day. If that was my situation, I'm sure I would be at that 3-4 cigar bracket. I've been on some events where, I've got 2 podcasts and then a in-person event, and I've smoked, 5 cigars in one day. So yeah, it fluctuates, but to answer your question in short, it's usually one a day.
It's about normal.
Yeah, like it's tame. Like I could, I want to smoke more than one a day, but at the same time, like, considering my day to day and where I start to smoke is usually in the evening time. I'm only going to really be able to get through 1 cigar, if maybe 2, depending.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like it's a lot harder for me. I don't really start smoking till around maybe 9 p.m. So by the time I'm done with my first Robusto, I'm already at like 10:15, and I wake up at like 5 in the morning, along with like these other guys do too. I can't be up till like 2 in the morning smoking and then try to wake up, because I'm a nice guy when I got my sleep, but I'm an asshole when I don't.
I get that.
And the bad part is I'm IT, so it's like I need that customer service. And I deal with like all the users we have. Then plus now I'm started dealing with like I worked for a medical field, so now I started dealing with patients, trying to get them on their medical portal. And I mean, I know when I'm lacking sleep, man, I am not a nice guy.
I can picture Frank. Just push fucking enter.
What don't you understand? No, but we get that. I mean, like for me, I think one a day is like a perfect balance. And of course, if I can get more than one, like today, I'm already like at a 1.5. So, it's already a plus for me. And I will finish this Candela because it is amazing. I mean, I don't know. It's such a good good cigar, and I don't know if
you want to ask if maybe the audience has any more questions to close out the segment. Let's see if
anything pops up. But I mean, to that, dude, we're fighting against the World Series, and I think we've had a pretty strong, with all of our accounts, there's probably been a solid anywhere from 15 to 20 viewers the whole time. So I'm very happy that we got to do that.
Wow.
Update on the World Series: the Dodgers are up 76. So
I'm from Texas, so I'm an Astro and Ranger, and we hate the Dodgers, but I thoroughly
nobody likes the Astros, Frank.
But I thoroughly do not like New York. So I am a huge Ohtani fan. So yeah, I swear, if I could punch you from the computer, Dan, I would, bro. I would. No, but yeah. So I mean, still to have that, that amount of people on, given there's another podcast going on, and there's the Dodgers game. That's amazing. Those of you that are on, I mean, thank you guys for being on. Gabriel, I just noticed Gaby's another friend of ours that's always on our chats.
Right on.
But do you think it's time to close this up, or do you want to stick around a little longer? I mean, those that need to drop off can drop off, and we just what do y'all feel?
I gotta head out.
All right, man. I mean, Randall, how are you?
I could stay probably. What time is it? I'm on the East Coast, Bryce, so it's already 11:17 here. I'll probably go ahead and head out too. I got work tomorrow.
Where's Bryce? Where are you, Bryce?
Cheyenne, Wyoming, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Wyoming.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you're in Central Time, right? No.
Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're So you're like at like 917.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No. Yeah. But,
my mother-in-law has been trying to get us to take a trip to Wyoming. Is it a nice place to go? Like, is it beautiful? I mean, I've heard it's beautiful. I mean, I won't go during the cold weather because I'm from like Texas. We only have 2 seasons. It's summer, and then like in maybe January we have like a month of winter, and then we go back to summer.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, I wouldn't come in the wintertime just because it can make traveling kind of tricky. But no, if you come in the summertime, man, it is gorgeous. I mean, the sunny days, it almost seems like every day is very sunny. So not only that, but the sheer vastness of everything, is super gorgeous. I think you guys would absolutely enjoy it. The culture around here is very inviting. They're not very. I mean, obviously, like I said, you have those people, but for the vast majority, like 90% are super, super nice. I think you guys would absolutely love it. And if you guys do come up this way, definitely let me know because I'd love to meet you in person.
Definitely, man. Well, if we're out in that area, I will definitely hit you up so we can maybe smoke a cigar and just
I
chill
mean,
somewhere.
if your mother isn't a reason to go visit Wyoming, I guess Bryce is right there, man.
Well, no, I mean, so like, I recently went to LA with on a trip with my wife, and I literally told my wife, "Hey, I'm gonna take at least an hour or 2 or 3. I want to go visit my buddy Hugo and a couple other friends and smoke a cigar with them in LA, and I got to do that. So I'm sure that if I told them, hey, I'm gonna escape for an hour or 2 to meet up with a friend, they'd have no problem with it. But I'll definitely, if we're in that area, man, I will hit you up, brother. But I think with that, I think we should end the show. Y'all okay with that?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I think this was a great time.
All right. So Bryce, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and talking to us and teaching us a lot, man. Like we've learned a lot, with being a brand owner and the process, and it was an amazing podcast. I had a good time. I know the other guys did too. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and end this live, guys. And those of you in the chat, those of you that are logged on and watched us, thank you. I appreciate it. Those of you coming on to watch the video afterwards, thank you guys for watching, and hope you all enjoyed the video and hope you all enjoyed the live.
Yeah, thank you very much again.
Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys.
Of course.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Yeah, have a good one.